those areas. So I'm hoping that we're all learning to be brave in one way or another, to be brave even as we face problems, as we face challenges. My hope for you today is that you learn to be brave even as you go through them, and above all, to lean on God. Ultimately, He's the one to really walk us through and make sure that our pain is not in vain. All right, can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Amen. Our guest in studio is Grace Kariuki, and she's a marriage and family therapist. It's great to have you back.
Thank you.
It's been a minute, but we're happy to see you. Yes. And Madam Grace, today we want to talk about co-parenting. And I think this is one of those, can I say there's just been an explosion of co-parenting, or the need to now co-parent.
Right.
As we've seen, of course, we know it's not a secret that relationships, have not necessarily been doing the greatest over a while, whether in church, outside of church, married or not. And so there's a lot of kids just caught in the middle of it. So let's talk about co-parenting, because when a couple splits up, one of the biggest arguments ends up being about the kids, and as people project their anger towards each other, they sort of, you may not have been a good partner, but maybe you're a great parent.
Right. Yeah.
So is co-parenting a good idea or not?
I think if it can be done the right way, it's a really good idea, because the kids are able to get the best of both worlds. Because at the end of the day, when two adults are fighting for their personal rights and personal comfort, they forget that they are some little people that they brought into this world that have no voice. Because a child cannot come and say, hey, mom and dad, don't divorce because I don't want you to divorce. You won't even listen to them. And so we need to be aware that that when we separate and when we divorce, plus, when we get into these sexual relationships without planning, because then that happens, a child is brought into the world, we need to really kind of think about how we make choices, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And now that we have entered into a marriage, we have we have children, then at that point, if we can't live together and we desire to separate, we need to pay attention to the person that brought us together in the first place. Because we do know that there are some marriages that come together because there was a pregnancy that was unplanned. But even if that was not the case, we planned it and we decided, and then we have reached a point we can't really live together, then we do need to pay attention to the children. So co-parenting is a good idea, and I think the children experience the good of both worlds, but we need to do it intentionally, goal directed, and we need to know what we are doing and how it's affecting the children.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially because in all of this, it's the adults who made the choices that they made, and the kids, they had nothing to do with it. They just found themselves there as products of those choices. So let's begin then talking about what makes co-parenting work, or what would be a good model of how co-parenting should work.
Now, number one, we need to understand what's going on with us. So me and my spouse or my ex-spouse, we have separated for whatever reason. So there is something that is going on with us emotionally, and that is what we call grief. The reason why we are bickering and fighting over the kids is not because of the kids. Sometimes I have encountered couples who are fighting to fight, not necessarily because they care about the kids. There have been situations where, for instance, let me just use this as an example. I'm not generalizing to all men. Well, there have been situations where a woman is leaving that relationship because the man is no longer interested in the family. He spends too much time out. He's not helping the children, or he's not paying bills. And she gets to a point where she says, I'm a single parent. Plus, that this person is bringing me a lot of stress. So she decides, or the person is cheating or whatever it is. So she decides to leave. When this man begins to fight for the children, what is he fighting for? You haven't been interested.
You've not proven. The reason we're separating this thing is because you've not been present.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you are fighting for the children. What are you fighting for? So we need, that's why I said the first step towards effective co-parenting is to be aware of how I'm experiencing this separation.
Okay.
So let me deal with my grief first, so that the disappointment, the abandonment, the anger, that raw anger that I'm going to give you, I'm going to punish you for taking away something. And you see, sometimes what is being taken away, it's not necessarily the children, because nobody is taking the children away.
Right.
The children are going to be there. What is being taken away is your dignity, whatever the societal picture that you had painted out, the hopes and dreams that you had about long term, the feelings of failure that I have failed. So deal with that, because if you don't deal with that, you are going to push this to the children, and you are going to push that to the other person and to the entire family, because now it's drama. Now, so what we want to do, first of all, I'm going to say, in that case, get your social support system together. So find friends that you can talk to, your spiritual leaders, and your own spiritual self. Go back to God and let him guide you. Let him heal you and guide you. And now we have Christian counselors all over. Counselors are everywhere. Look for professional processing of what is going on. Get yourself together.
I'm glad that you're emphasizing that. It needs to be professional.
Yes.
Don't just DM anybody and ask them for, you know what I mean? Because they're not going to be able to. There's actually a psychology and a science to count. People get degrees for this. So don't be too quick to just run to your neighbor or run to your girlfriend. You know, a child's life is at stake. So do it right.
Right. And see, I need to say here, I'm a marriage and family therapist. That's what my master's degree is in. 4 years, 100 hours of schoolwork, plus 3,000 hours of client work before I get to be certified as a marriage family counselor. So don't suffer alone. Now, when we come to how do we set up a situation where the children are not going to hurt? So take care of yourself first, and then number 2, you need to understand what your children are going through. So pay attention to the kids. Talk to them. Don't do things and you are keeping quiet and you're not getting to know what's going on.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is the fight with your spouse. What is it about? To try to figure out, what are you fighting about? So the communication and also the conflict management, you will need all of that. But I will say this, and I will emphasize, please look for a third party, a professional mediator, which is now probably a family therapist. And now we have a lot of people who are being trained to be professional mediators, and you can get that. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, but it is going to cost you a lot of pain if you try to do it on your own.
True.
Yeah.
True. Let's take a break at this point, and then when we get back, I want us to continue this conversation. We'll also be taking whatever questions you guys send into 111 444 111. Maybe there's a particular experience you'd like Madam Grace here to touch on. You can let us know that as well. And also, I want us to talk about, distributing like roles and responsibilities. Now you're not in the same house. Does that change? Does the dynamic change, and how does it change? How do you do it to best suit the children? 111 444 111 is the SMS line. We'll be back after this. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. I'm here with Madam Grace Kariuki, who's a certified family and marriage therapist. And we've had it takes a minute to get that certification. So please do not just be DMing anybody. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, because I do get a lot of these questions sometimes. I always refer you to somebody else, just because I know I'm not certified in doing that work. Okay. And it's very important for me to say that. These are lives at stake. But as we continue talking about co-parenting this morning, I have some SMSs coming in, and I'll be touching on them shortly. But one of the things I first want to ask is, should the child have a say in whether they want to be co-parented or not? So supposing they didn't have the greatest relationship with one parent, or they feel that parent has also never been there, maybe they even feel the mom is or the father is justified in leaving the relationship. Should the child have a say in whether they want to be co-parented or not? And how do you handle that? Because it should not be manipulative. It cannot be like, unataka kukaa na daddy kweli? You know what I mean? Like you've already like put it in their minds that there's something to think about. So what would you say to that?
I would say that yes, the child's voice should be heard. Of course, now we are talking about you're a parent and you are responsible for their safety and you are responsible for them. So, but listening to your children doesn't cost you much. In fact, it gives you much more leverage on what you're going to do. So it's important to listen to the kids and have them tell you what they prefer. In fact, when you go to children's courts and they ask the child, ask a child, unataka, because she has a voice, the child has a voice. So first of all, we want to make sure that we understand that and we emphasize it, that they have a voice. We need to hear it. Now, how we make that decision, whether they stay with mom or they stay with dad, that will be important, but we need to also have heard what they want. And we need to understand why. You know, don't do that manipulative thing that you did. And I will say, I went through that when, you know, long time ago, when dad sat there and said, who wants to go with me? And you see now, if you haven't been home and we have been with mom, so what are the kids going to say? They are going to say, we want to stay with mom, because they feel safer with her. They are familiar with her. And that is why we need to listen to the children. Now, if there is going to be, there is a need for there to be, even though dad hasn't, maybe he's away, like my dad was away because he was not always working within the same town. So if that is what is happening, then the child needs to be listened to and counseled on why it's important for them to have a relationship with dad. And absolutely not when dad is abusive or even mom is abusive. Whatever the reason why you are thinking they shouldn't go with the other parent, or they shouldn't have visitations or be parented by the other parent, we need to pay attention to the situation. We just don't blanket that oh, you're going to have daddy issues if you don't go and see your dad. No. We need to be able to understand why are we saying they cannot go with the other parent.
And it's an important discussion to have, because the truth is, even here, I think there's a story running of how many parents, specifically women, I think, in this particular case, because I think they naturally end up as the ones, you know, being the caregivers and taking care of the children, in the case of a separation. But a lot of them actually, you know, keeping their children from their fathers in the name of protecting the child. What's your take on that?
My take on that, again, I go back. Be honest with yourself, because who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you really doing it for the children? So again, this goes back to seek help. Seek for some guidance on how you're going to do it, so that you can come to me and say, Madam Grace, I really don't want my children to be seen by their father. And I say, okay, let's talk about that. What happened? What are you afraid is going to happen if they see the father?
And we again, we also always have to keep that. You have to distance the two relationships. They're very different. So one may be a terrible spouse, but is an excellent parent.
Absolutely.
So really not being able to project your feelings or lack of feelings thereof to your children. Very, very important.
Absolutely.
And so to a co-parent, though, who's really struggling, it's not that they're not a bad parent. I mean, a bad parent, but just the relationship, and there's just too much bitterness. How would you advise that they handle that situation?
Now, I'm going to say that when it comes to the bitterness of heart, that is not something you can deal by yourself, because when you sit down and you think, you'll be triggered. See, that once pain has been inflicted on you, the rest of your life you're dealing with triggers to the pain. The pain ended and you are separated from your ex-spouse, but you're still bitter. That one, you need to get help. You need to get help so that you process that, let it go, and so that you can show up in your child's life as you, the one that is okay. Now, there is something else that I want to caution parents from doing, is sending messages to their ex through their children. You know, uambie mama yako, uambie baba yako. Or this other thing that we do, that you demonize. If your husband or your ex-husband was mean to you, he was mean to you. But remember, this is the father of your child. This is the mother of your child. They will never find another parent. So the best thing that you can ever do is actually stay away from influencing how they see their fathers.
Right.
I always say that let the children figure out for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what is going on.
So stop saying utakuwa tu kama babako, weni kama mako.
Please don't. And again, this is the other thing. Why do I encourage people to find personal healing when you are in a situation like that? It's because some of us are coming from the same kind of families where we were told utakuwa kama baba yako, mama yako, or whatever it was. There was so much negativity. We were traumatized as children. We come and we have made a vow to ourselves. I'll never have a family like my family. And people ask me, I got married at 39. Why? Because at 20, I realized I am so broken. I had a couple of relationships and I found out I'm so broken. I don't want to bring this into, I don't want to carry that on.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of my own healing way before I joined. Not that I didn't date along the way, but every time I dated, I would see something about myself I didn't like. And I would stop and I started the healing process. So that's what I'm saying. Heal yourself.
Right.
Find some healing, because then you will be able to co-parent your children very well.
Yeah.
Now, the communication in co-parenting is very important.
Okay.
But if you are bitter, you are not going to be able to communicate with the other person.
Absolutely.
Separate the two. I was also thinking about how you, so the parents have sat down and they have said, we are going to try and co-parent together. Where will you do the co-parenting? Do the children come to your house, or what is going on? That's why you need a mediator, so that you identify how you are going to do that.
All right. Allow me to touch on some questions now. Someone here is saying, hey Joyce, thank you for talking about co-parenting. It's becoming a huge lifestyle adjustment in Kenya right now. I'm co-parenting with my ex-husband, and he is married to a young woman who I'm not sure is giving my son the right direction and advice. How do I go about this? Because custody battles in Kenya are a lot, and I don't want to go in that direction.
Right.
Hey, this is a different one. So not only are you now co-parenting, now there's somebody else.
Yes,
Trying to raise your child as well.
Right, and this is the reality we have, because you will find that men remarry quicker than their wives, their ex-wives. And so what the situation you're going to find is that, I would say this, there are a couple of things that she might do. Number one, she needs to identify what she's afraid is going to happen. What are you afraid is going to happen? Deal with the real fear you have.
Yeah.
Get into your mind and say, I am afraid that this young woman is going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 to my son.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that you might try to do is befriend this person who is going to be a co-parent with you anyway. So befriend her and see if there is an opportunity for you to be friends.
Okay.
So that at least you can have some conversations around those
All
things.
right.
Yeah.
This next question is very interesting. It's not necessarily her kids, but kids that are being brought to her.
Yes.
So she says, hey Joyce, my husband had 4 children with 4 different women who are 10 years older than him. Wow. Okay. That's a story for another day.
Yes.
But anyway, 4 children, 4 different women who are 10 years older than him. The family is trying to force me to have these children to my house, but I don't want them in my house because of the background of those women. What is the best way to go about it? Because right now we have separated because of it.
Oh, okay. Now, it's the family that wants her. But what about her and her husband? So what I would say is that
They've now separated because of this pressure.
Yes, that is my point. Is that husband and wife are not able to deal with issues. That's why the family is coming in. So this man who has 4 different children with 4 different women, he has some issues to deal with. He's not taking charge of his life. So he needs to get together. I would say that the woman is creating a boundary. The man needs to really get to talk with her about.
And that's an important point you've raised, that she's actually set up her own boundaries.
Absolutely.
And it's going to sound weird to ask this, but is that okay? Because I think some people would assume, like, what do you mean? But they're his children. You need to be loving. You're a wife. You're supposed to support, blah, blah, blah. But she set up a boundary.
Yes.
I guess maybe part of the assumption would be, though, should she have known this before she agreed to marry him?
Absolutely. That's why I said there are some issues here about this relationship that needs to be ironed out.
Okay.
So, and then this is my other question. Before this man married, was he in the lives of these children, or because now he has gotten a wife,
nice,
now
woman.
The family says, oh, let's push these kids. And the other thing we want to find out is are these mothers of these kids, are they looking to give up their kids to be raised by this? I would say that I don't think she's doing the wrong thing. What she is saying, she's setting a boundary because she's not being given the opportunity to process what that will mean about her. I mean, you can imagine you have just been married and then suddenly you are being told you have 4 children.
Right.
You know, so she's setting a boundary, and her husband
Plus, it must be scary for her, too. If this guy has 4 kids from 4 women, if she wanted to have kids with him, like, who knows where that's going to end up at this rate.
And listening to her text, I'm thinking she needs to come and see me for some personal counseling.
All right.
Because of the way she has worded the question.
Yeah. We'll be sharing Madam Grace's contacts here in just a few moments, so make sure you stay tuned for that and do reach out to her. You have a personal invitation to reach out, so take advantage of it. Alice from Zimmerman here says, hey Joyce, what about the scenario of co-parenting, and then you find yourself getting attracted to your partner, yet they have moved on? That's Alice from Zimmerman. Right.
Well, you know, that's it's normal to feel that way. Just deal with it. If they have already moved on, then you tell your mind that they are not available. Yeah,
that's tricky.
And usually I say this, a lot of times we are finding people who are very reactive in these relationships. So you reacted by getting into it, then you are reacting by getting out of it, and then now you're reacting
again. Oh Lord.
So that's why I said it's so important to do some personal healing. A process of 6 sessions of personal healing. I mean, that's what, 12 to 15,000 shillings, so that you can be able to really show up in your life as a healed person, so you're not reacting to things.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if I have any more SMSs here. The team can refresh them as well. Someone here is saying, hey Joyce, as a child who's a product of co-parenting, I can tell you that life is not being easy, being brought up by 2 parents, not living together. A lot of their issues trickle down on you, and the indecisiveness as well. Sometimes we're supposed to do something with my mom, but then something else comes up from my dad's family. I have to divert myself or divide myself emotionally, and this is really hard. And they're only 13. Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. That's really hard.
It is. And you see now, Joyce, why I'm saying, parents, when you go through a life-changing experience like a separation or a divorce, please get yourself some help. Because now you cannot even attend to your 13-year-old because you have no idea what's going on in her world, and she's trying to please everybody. Guess what is going to happen to her? You know, by the time she's 18, she will be looking for love elsewhere because nobody understands her. You see,
and you're so right. Like, we completely underestimate the cost it is on the children.
I mean,
you used to hang out with your cousins. Now you have to go and explain things to your. I mean, because you're also being asked questions as a kid, or now forge new relationships on the other side of this new family. So it is quite a strain on the children.
It is, and we also need to understand that the children are going through a divorce too. They are also going through a separation. The children sometimes they have to change schools, they have to change where their friends are, they have to change the house where they were living in. There is so much change that is happening to the children. Now, we adults, because we are the ones who are making the decisions, it's not as hard on us as it is on the children because we are in control. The children have no control. So they are just going with wherever they are being told to go. That's why I said it's important for you to have a chat with the children and let them tell you what they feel. Now, I will say this. Sometimes because the relationship at home is so strained, when the separation and the divorce happens, it's a relief for the kids because they don't have to live with the anxiety anymore. But then at that point, please do not create another anxiety for them, where now they are being shoved from here and the other place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone else says manipulation from either of the parents should stop. In my parents' separation, there was a lot of manipulation from my mother, and there's no co-parenting. And growing up, I had daddy issues and resented all men. I'm 23 years old now, and God has helped me get out of depression and suicidal thoughts. I'm healed in the most part and still continuing, but it's been a recovering journey I wouldn't wish on my enemy's children.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Those are very strong sentiments.
It is.
Someone here is saying, please talk about parents who deny their kids from seeing the other parent, please. We've kind of touched on that already, but maybe very briefly.
Right. No, don't do that. If your child wants to see their parents, unless there is a clear indication of safety issues, please don't do that. Deal with what do we need to put in place to protect the child. And again, I say to the parents, what are you afraid of? You know, identify your fear. If it is anger and you are getting back on your spouse, you are hurting your children.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Madam Grace, would you please share your contact details?
Yes.
Clearly, people need to seek professional help for this.
Yeah, you can reach me at Grace Kariuki -Derito on Facebook. You can check me out on my website www.gracekariuki.co.ke.
Okay.
And you can reach me on WhatsApp 0707 5848 30.
All right. Do you want to repeat that number again?
Yeah, 0707 5848 30.
All right.
Yeah.
That's on WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. This is a very important topic. Certainly, you know, I keep saying children are not it's not a sack of potatoes you bought. They're not a toy.
Yeah.
This is someone's life at stake. So be very mindful of the choices you make and how they affect them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you for this conversation. All right, guys, we need to take a break now as we get ready for our final segment of the day. Coming up next, we're going to be diving into fitness. Sijui mwende mwanze kufungua makabati mtoe sahani juu apparently you're going to be working out with some plates here on the show. 111 144 111 is our new SMS line, and we'll be back after this.